Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome to Posy Lane. So today we're going to be making an edible arrangement for St. Patrick's Day. And for St. Patrick's Day, we have a few traditions that we like to do. Like normally we wear green or you get pinched, and we also go outside and try to find a four-leaf clover. And sometimes we find one and other times we're not so lucky. Sometimes we've made a leprechaun trap, and we usually learn about who St. Patrick really was and what he meant to Ireland. And then the biggest thing that we do is we make a big traditional Irish dinner that we all sit together as a family and enjoy. And sometimes we eat bangers and mash, other times we've done shepherd's pie or corned beef, but we usually just make a big spread and all enjoy it. And I thought it would be so fun if we made an arrangement for the center of the table that would be really cute and fun for St. Patrick's Day, but would also be our treat at the end because it's edible. So let's get started. First thing that you need for any arrangement is the container that you're going to make the arrangement in. And I got this years ago at Ikea, but I think it would be perfect for this. And the thing about this is I didn't want it to be too big of an arrangement, and your size of your container actually kind of determines how big you have to make it. So I didn't want it too big, so I'm using a smaller container. If you wanted to make this bigger, just get a bigger container. And then we got foam, and this is dry foam that's not for like putting water in. If you had like real live flowers, you want one that you can soak in water to keep the flowers alive. But since we're using food stuff, I got a dry foam. I also got these skewers, and I love that this pack has big ones and small ones, and I'm gonna just see which ones I need. And then for the edible part, I found these rainbow sour belts at the Dollar Tree, and also these magical marshmallow twists. And I love how they have like a little rainbow color to them. It seems like they've gotten a lot more fun marshmallows at different stores now than they used to have, not just plain white, but twists and different colors. So I loved these. And then I found some chocolate coins because think about what's normally at the end of a rainbow is gold. And then I dyed with food coloring some coconut ahead of time. And this I'm just gonna use to cover the base so that you don't see the foam once everything is done. The dry foam was too big for the container, and so I just placed it on top and used a butter knife and trimmed down what I didn't need of the foam, just going around trimming a little bit off of each edge because the foam was like square. Now obviously this container is round, so it's literally like putting a square peg in a round hole. And after I trimmed it, I just crammed it down in there as much as I could. Because you want it to be tight and you don't want it to move around or fall out. So I like kind of cramming it in there really tight. There was a little bit on the top, so I just trimmed the top off so that you didn't see any of it peeping above the container. The package of skewers that I bought actually had two different size skewers, and I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use. So I just put them, both the big ones and the small ones, next to the container and kind of compared the size and realized that I liked the way the smaller ones were going to look and the bigger ones probably would be too tall for the actual arrangement. A tip I learned about arrangements is you want your arrangement to be like 1.5 to 2 times the height of the container that you're making it in. You don't want it too tall and you don't want it to be necessarily too short unless you're wanting it to lay low. And this, I don't want it to lay too low. I started with putting the marshmallows on the skewers, and I just used the sharp point of the skewer to put them on so that it would kind of pierce the candy. And for the marshmallows, I put some with 2 marshmallows on there and some with just 1 marshmallow because I thought it'd be good to have some varying height to the different ones, and I ended up making about 5 of them. For the rainbow sour belts, I made 5 of them as well because it usually looks better when you do an odd number of something instead of an even number. And because the sour belts were long, I needed to figure out how to attach them onto the skewer in kind of a creative way. So I decided to make them kind of into an S shape. or like a snake shape on the actual skewer. And I think it looks really fun kind of having that squiggly line of the rainbow colors on the skewer. I did end up putting, some of them sour belts only have one sour belt on the skewer, and a couple of them had two, just like I did with the marshmallows. So some of them have a little bit taller, like bloom, if you would think of the candy as like a flower that has a bigger bloom than some of the other ones, so that there's just a little bit more interest for the arrangement. I started with putting the sour belts in the arrangement first, and whenever I do an arrangement, I usually try to do things kind of symmetrical. So what I do to one side, I'll do to the other. So if I put a sour belt in on the left side, then I put one in on the right side. And so I did that with 4 of them, and then I had one odd one, and I put that one in the center. And if you can kind of see off screen, I did make some pretzels that I went on ahead and dipped in some green chocolate that I had just melted in the microwave. And I didn't even show you guys how to do that because it's so easy just to follow the directions on the back of the package and just dip some, just so there's something green in the arrangement. For the marshmallows, I did have to trim some of the skewers down a little bit. I just used wire cutters that seemed to go straight through the skewer. And I did something very similar to what I did with the sour belts, where I tried to make everything kind of symmetrical and would do things on one side and then the other. And I just kind of filled in some blank spaces that I was seeing in the arrangement. For the pretzel rods, if you think about a pretzel, they're pretty easy to break and snap, so I couldn't stick the pretzel rods straight into the arrangement. I kind of had to use a skewer to pre-drill a hole and kind of wiggle it around to make a hole big enough, and then I'd stick the pretzel rod in, and that seemed to work as long as I made the hole deep enough. And I stuck all the pretzel rods kind of in a row in the back. It just made it look really pretty, like almost like a one-sided arrangement, and made it look really full, and it kind of acted like greenery if you had used greenery in a normal arrangement. For the gold coins, I thought it would be fun to have gold coins kind of at the bottom of the rainbow skewers and also the marshmallow skewers, because if you think about, like, there's usually gold at the end of a rainbow, and I didn't want to use glue or anything like that since this is something that we're eating. So I used glue dots, and I just love glue dots because there's no dry time and immediately it will stick and usually doesn't move or anything. So I just put glue dots on the back of each of the different gold coins, and then I stuck them onto the different bottoms of the skewers, and some I layered maybe like 2, so it gave a little interest, and it helped also cover up some of the foam and some of the skewers and just made it look more full and more like an arrangement. Now that I have everything in place and I like where it is, I need to cover up the foam. And normally if you make an arrangement, you put like moss or something like that. And so having made this green dyed coconut, I thought that would be so fun to just cover up all the foam with, and it looks kind of like green grass or something. If you can't find that, or you don't want to have to make dyed coconut, you can maybe use like some Easter grass, because I've noticed that the Easter stuff is already out on the aisles at like Walmart and Kroger and different places like that. Got the arrangement all done, and when I had originally thought of this, I told my husband I wanted to make it, and he was like, what? And so I drew a picture of what I was thinking, and really this looks so close to what I drew. And sometimes if you ever have like a crazy idea in your head, you're not sure, just sketch it out. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not even good at sketching, but it was just a really rough sketch. It helps you get it out of your brain and really just help you envision it a little bit better. I love how cute these are. I thought these said they were St. Patrick's Day coins, and they have like, I think John F. Kennedy or something on them, which was a little weird when they're supposed to be for St. Patrick's Day. But I love how all of it came out, and it looks pretty full for just like candy and all. And I can't wait to let my kids dig into this. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on Posy Lane. I had so much fun making this craft, and I can't wait for our next craft.